Welcome to Free Your Mind. You know, we're doing this to get everybody in the community, you know, get everybody perspective on how to start certain things, how to do businesses. And we have Garrett here. Garrett, you know, today I want to talk about, like, you know, like your perspective on, like, our community, people that are trying to get into businesses, people that try to, like, you know, build their credit, people that don't even know how to go about. So, you know, in certain ways, how do we get people to start a business? Because I know you've been in the industry for a while now, because, like, young people that are trying to get ahead in life. What do you think?
So I have owned and operated a small business in some regard for at least 10 years. I was a business advisor with the Black Business Association in British Columbia. So I have a pretty extensive experience helping people with small businesses, operating my own small business. Honestly, the best way to get started is the belief in your own product.
Yeah.
Because when you do believe in that product, you sell it better.
Yeah.
And once you find that group of people that will buy it and help you build it and criticize it and look at it from a different perspective and get a better understanding of your product and how you want to share it, that's the best bet. So really cultivate the people that want to help you do better, because you can ask them questions and believe in what you're selling. And honestly, if you have 10 people that you don't know buying your product, you're gonna have 100 people.
But you know, sometimes too, right? Some people will wake up and say, okay, I want to do this, but then they doubt themselves. So, like with us, when we started the shop, was the same way. We wanted to do it, but we were like, would it work? But that's where I get where you're coming from. Anything you want to do, if you have the belief, it will work. Some people might have the belief, but sometimes too, how do they go about without, like, you know, doubting themselves?
Well, you're going to doubt yourself, and it's a key aspect of growth.
Yeah.
If you don't criticize and look at what you have with the intent of getting better, I mean, if you think you're the best already, there's no getting better.
That's true.
So you have to be able to take the criticism, take the advice from people, whether it's negative or positive. Often the negative advice is the most important.
That's true.
When you're operating a business, people are going to criticize your business. Don't take it personally. Take it as something to build with.
Okay.
That's really good.
No, I get it, because criticism builds character. And being able to take criticism from some other people, sometimes, you know, it helps you grow as a person, as an individual. And the ones that are not able to take the criticism, what are ways that they can actually, you know, find a way to, you know, humble themselves to make it work?
Well, you know, it's important to, that's a very important skill to have, is taking criticism and building with it. Now, life is going to humble you.
That's true.
And honestly, like, what you don't want to do is avoid the humbling situations. And that could be big or small. That could be pitching your business to people you don't know. Well, that sounds big. But that also could be going to the gym, pushing yourself a little harder than normal.
That's true.
Right? Find those situations that you feel that you're not up to the task for, engage in them, see what you could do better, and just keep climbing. Because it gets easier every time you do it, and the crossover between big something like a pitch or small something like the gym is huge.
That's true. My perspective is, like, sometimes you know you want to do something, but in your mind you're like, it's gonna work. And I know in life, whenever you take risk, it helps you. Because if you don't take risk, you sit in your room and say, oh, this might or might not work. Risk, it always helps. So usually when I meet young people or anybody that's trying to get a business, I tell them, listen, I was never a barber. I didn't even think I could. We without Nancy, I didn't even know this place would be here. But sometimes when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, no, we have to do this will work. And then some way we're able to get to where we are. But another point now I think would be good for people to know is, you know, starting a business. Let's say you want to do a restaurant or like a salon or anything. I tell people, just because you're a good hairstylist or you're like the best chef, doesn't mean you open a business and then boom, people come.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, I tell them location is number one. Attitude, how you treat people, how people treat you. It's always like, you know, the 99% reason why people fail or they succeed. So, young people that are coming up, what do they do? Like, you know, because I know to start a business, you have to go and register your business, but registering the business is not the end. There's more to it.
Yeah.
How do they get funded?
Well, you know, as a business advisor, I had that question a lot.
Okay.
Where do I get money? Where do I get funding from? I'm starting a new business. I need startup cash. And it was a very common thought, especially when you're starting a new business.
Yeah.
Because your product isn't selling, all the answers that you're finding all end with, I need more cash, I need more money, I could buy this, I need this. However, understand that it's the pressure of the new business, the pressure of wanting to succeed,
Yeah.
that is kind of forcing you into those easy answers.
Okay.
There are many, many different ways of getting what you want without money. Okay. Now, is it the same quality? Is it the same speed? Is it the same effort? Almost never. Right? Money makes everything a lot easier.
Yeah.
But really try and recruit those tools or that advice or information that cost as little as you can.
Are there programs that people can go through, like, you know, like grants, ways to find, you know, to get grants from like the government, like the banks? Is there like ways that people can go about, people that don't know?
Yeah. Of course. Oh, yes, of course. There are a lot of resources for small business owners.
Yeah. How about minority business owners?
Yeah, less so, but yes, there are resources for minority business owners as well. At the same time, and here's a really key piece of advice, hopefully save some people some time.
Yeah.
Often, these small business grants, they give you the money when you are an established business.
Okay.
So in terms of startup fees, startup costs, I'm always going to suggest you go to the bank.
Yeah.
Okay, and then of course those applications have, you know, the requirements of things that you had to do before you want to step in the bank, right?
Yeah, because, you know, like business plan.
Exactly. Business plan, credit rating, you know, how much money you owe, how much money you have, how much money you've lent, so on. So really, when you're looking for that startup fee, there are small business programs through the bank that help lend incrementally and based on your success. So they're combined with business advice, and you're going to go communicate with them back and forth. But then once you have that cash flow, because that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
It's buying, spending with your business. That's when you can start applying for things like grants or larger loans.
No, and also, you know, young people don't know that credit is like a number one, the number one in anything you do in Canada. And you know, when you're young, some people get like a credit card like $500 and then you blow it. How do they avoid killing their credit? How do they maintain the credit to make sure, like, you know, by the time, like, you know, you're 16, 17, you think you're all that, and then you get to 20, trying to buy a place or trying to get a car, they tell you, oh no, you have to spend on your bill, or you have to spend. So how do they avoid all this?
Oh wow, well yes, definitely. You know, Jay-Z said it in one of his songs, right? It's like, how did this group of people buy this large area of, you know, where I'm from?
Yeah.
Credit. And it's something you build, and it's something that is very important when you're lending or sort of running a business.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of lending. Don't be afraid of debt. However, the easiest way to a good credit is pay your bills on time. And again, make sure you don't dodge debt. Things like a car loan or a mortgage, those things, paying those regularly will help build your credit as well.
How about like phone bills?
Yeah, all of that, anything that you don't pay, if you put it in this perspective, anything you don't pay and it goes into collections, that's a ding on your credit. You have a number that you want to reach, and every time you don't pay it, it affects that number negatively. So easiest thing is keep paying your stuff down, and don't be afraid of debt. Make sure you're paying into assets, and you should be okay.
You know, and you know, I remember when I was younger, honestly, my phone bill would come to like $50 and it's okay, I can't pay. I let it go to 100, and then next thing you know it's $100. Next thing you know it's $200. By the time you know it's like 590, you can't pay. Then you try to go get something, and then they tell you, sorry, you have to pay your bill in like 6 months, so they won't give it to you. Because usually, so lately, what all the advice I give to all the young guys is, hey, if you get a phone bill, it's $50 to pay. When it's due maybe on the 20th, you gotta make sure that on the 15th it's paid. Because if not, because every time they report it to the credit bureau, so every time they report it, it drops you. They report it, like credit card, for example. So when they give you for $50, $100 credit card, you just gotta make sure you don't go in your spend all the way. You gotta spend about, they give you 1,000, you spend 250, 500, you're good. But most people don't even know that.
And here's the key credit building aspect of having a credit card. There's a lot of things that you pay for that have nothing to do with your credit. Like, let's say if I went and bought a haircut, or I went and bought lunch. Those things don't, like paying off those things, you're not paying off anything.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect your credit. However, when you have a credit card, you put those on your credit card, and then you pay off the credit card, that will positively affect your credit. That's a really easy way to do it. You just don't take advantage of the credit that the card gives you. Make sure you have a set amount of money that you want to spend, you want to put onto there.
Yeah.
Spend it and pay it back.
So one thing I really want to ask you, because I've known you for a while now. How was your upbringing?
Oh wow, my upbringing was tumultuous. I was raised in a single parent home, and really it's the type of life that you can look back on and say, if I'm good at making it through these challenging situations, this is right. So it was definitely a life situation you can get mired down in and stuck and depressed about.
Yeah.
But I was very fortunate. I had some really good people that were examples that I could build towards, and I just kept on making good habits out of bad ones.
So what advice do you have, like, for young people that are going through the same upbringing in life? Like, what advice do you have for them? Like, how do they keep going? Because sometimes life, one little thing can bring you down.
Yeah.
But how do they stay like, okay, hey, this is going on, but how doesn't affect me? But still I know this is what I want to do. How do they keep focused? How do they keep their mind? Because there's so many things that takes you away from certain things in life.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely take it day by day. You have to take it day by day, because when things add up.
Yeah.
Things add up. So if you try and go, you can never go back on a day.
Yeah.
And you'll never kind of make up time you lost.
That's true.
So staying present in that whatever situation, good or bad, is going to be so valuable, because you'll really feel like you can take something away from it. I think that's really key. But also having some good mentors, having some people you look up to. Don't be afraid to aspire to more, because when you do, especially as a younger person, people who are successful love sharing, and they love being a positive influence on young people.
Like mentors.
Yeah, and being mentors and helping people succeed. People who are already successful love seeing other people succeed. They love being a part of it. So when you can find a good mentor you can ask questions to, I think it's incredibly valuable. Now, you're going to go through a number of them. There's never just one person that you're going to consider the be-all, end-all. There's going to be a number of them. But just recognize them, ask a lot of questions, don't be afraid to fail, and just have a plan, but don't be afraid to deviate from your goals in order to make that plan. Everything changes, everything's moving.
Because lately I've been meeting all these young guys. They come here, they think life is just, that's what it is. And I try to tell them, listen, you don't know the life that we went through before we got to where we are today. Sometimes 5, 6 a.m. in the morning you're up, going up and down. But sometimes, some parents, they wake up, they go to work. The kids have nobody home to talk to. And it takes some away from going for the right path, because one of their friends might call them and say, hey, let's go do this. Because without a parent advice, sometimes it's very difficult. So I try to give them a lot of good advice to tell them, hey, me, I was in your situation before, but there was a man that helped me out that got me to where it is. So I try to give them the right direction. But sometimes, honestly, it's very difficult for somebody like that. What do you have to do?
Oh man, yeah.
I know.
No, you're telling me you just repeated like my whole life as a kid, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, yeah, like I said, you got to do it day by day. Don't, just keep in mind the stuff that you're doing right now. It somehow will have an effect on you in the future. Okay. It's hard to grasp as like someone coming out of high school and younger than that. It's hard to understand that, but they do add up. And that's the same for the good things as well. So you have to make sure you're accumulating all those little tiny good things all the time. It's going to be a mix of back and forth. I can tell you this though, that the amount of times I've said, wow, my mom was right.
Yeah, I know.
Right? At the same time, it's always a fight for independence.
That's true.
It's going to come to you as a kid, right?
Lately, I've been going about this with my daughter, because sometimes I tell her, I wish I listened to my dad, because my dad would tell me, hey, instead of you sitting there watching TV, just taking an hour, go over your books, do the homework, so that way you'll be able to get scholarship. But me in my head, I was like, nah, come on, like this old man, what does he know? And I was like,
if you were talking to you,
it's like the same thing now, like how you said it.
Yeah.
You sit in your mind, like, your mom was right. Now, every time I sit there talking to my daughter, I'm like, what? I wish I listened to my dad. Mm-hmm. Maybe I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. But sometimes too, it's so late to be able to go backwards and do what you thought was possible for you to do. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's like, yeah, man, it's very difficult. But I tell all the young ones, keep going. Life, it's never too late. There's always a second chance. Everything you want to do, you have to believe in it, because when you believe, it will work. So. So it's so many different aspects of life that makes us who we are. Especially when you grow up, you become a father or you become a parent. So I hope everybody that's listening, maybe you've taken a little bit out of both of us from what we're telling you. So hopefully, if you grow up, you want to start a business. It's not just one day. It's not 2 days. It's a marathon. Every time you wake up, you gotta keep going. Even when your body tells you can't go, you have to find a way to work. So hopefully, anybody that's listening can know life is not easy. There's gonna be ups and downs, but you don't let it bring it down. You just gotta keep going. Because that's what it is. Life. Garrett, what advice do you have for any people out there?
Well, especially small business owners, if you're starting a small business, don't try and fight the same war. It's never the same. Even if, we've been talking about giving advice and finding mentors and so
Yeah.
on and taking that advice. It's your journey at the end of the day. So if I gave you a piece of advice, if Danny gave you a piece of advice, your parents gave you advice, how you bring that into your mind and put it out in the world through your action, that's totally up to you. Take it all with a grain of salt. Your situation will not be the same as everybody else's situation. So it's your journey. Stay mobile. Spend as little as you can until you don't have a choice,
That's true.
because that's a good problem to have. And yeah, you ultimately it's up to you, good and bad.
So right now, would you advise people to start online business or rent a place and start a business?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
With the cost of rent, with the cost of like electricity, overhead, what would you suggest?
Well, I mean, it would be pretty hard to cut hair online.
Oh, for sure.
Right? So there are definitely businesses that would that you only can open in store.
Yeah.
Make sure your prices reflect that. But it just falls under, spend as little as you can, as long as you can. And then ultimately, like, with a better understanding, when you start having people invest into your business and you start incorporating and you really start operating at a high level, they're always going to ask you to spend as little as you can, maximize your profits as much as you can. So it's a good exercise while you're a small business, while you're small and mobile, to be thrifty without lowering your quality. Quality is always the first, but in deliverance and how you're talking to people, how you're meeting people, really try and get the most out of it, spending as little as you can. So yeah, I mean, online is where the world is headed. Find a way to kind of get in touch with that as much as you can. E-commerce is where a lot of money is. Like a lot of money, more money than storefronts, more money than malls.
Yeah.
So if your business model suits it, you should know about it. And even if your business model doesn't suit it, you're gonna run up against it. So understanding of e-commerce and being online is very important.
So like people that don't know for e-commerce, what are the ways to start? You started a website, or you started with Googleism, you started like in a Facebook page, you started like Instagram page. What are the steps you recommend?
Well, when selling online through social media, you just want to make sure you get good at like one or two. There's lots of different platforms out there, right? So, I can, we can rattle off 6 or 7 of them. Find 2 or 3 and get really good at it. Try and, maximize the amount of time you spend making content by, a lot of crossover stuff that you can share between the platforms. That's really important, social media. And in terms of e-commerce and selling a product online, there are a number of different apps you can use. The first one that comes to my mind is Shopify. They'll make you a online store and kind of walk you through it. There's lots of different kind of information modules too associated with it. Of course, there are paid levels to it, but there's a free one. And another one is Square. Square is a great one where you can take online purchases and open up an online store, and I think they even give you a webpage.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
There you go. So Shopify, you can register your webpage. So if you're listening, from the man, the one and only Mr. Garrett,
Appreciate you, man.
No, I know business is crazy. We've been in business for how long? Back in 2006. When we started, it was different. You have to get a pay. You have to go to the province or the record, get like a small page, $500. And then once the issue is gone, the money is gone and nobody gets it, you're done. So I keep telling everybody, I'm like, if we started the shop at this age, we would save so much money because You go on Facebook, you don't have to pay for it. You can put your picture there, people get to know where you are. You go on Google, you register your name, you're good to go. People that started back in the days, it was so expensive. Sometimes we have to go, now you don't have to do much. So if people see you, oh, what's your Insta? Boom. Before we have to get print like sometimes 5,000 cards. We gotta stand in the Skytrain, we gotta go to the club every night, we gotta hustle like that. But lately, everybody like the young people, when they come in and they come into the shop, they come sit there, and I'm like, yo, what are you doing? No, shouldn't you be out getting? He's like, no. See, look at me, I have like 1,000 followers, and 1,000 followers, and you're not getting clientele. 1,000 followers, and not making money from it. So I always tell them, listen, the followers, some of the people don't even know where you are. If you're not making money on followers, you gotta be out on your street. You gotta be hustling those. Even though the social media works, the old way is always the best. Going outside talking to people. Because if you don't talk to people, even if you're selling like Rolex, they won't know. You can sit in your house and post all you want, but maybe being outside and talking to people, getting to meet them, and them get to feel how you are as a person. That's what works for me. I talk to people, they come in. When I post, people will come, but not as much. But when you're so personal to people, they get to see how you are. They get to come, they get to see your face. It helps me a lot. So I give that advice to people. So anybody, if you're listening, Instagram is good, Facebook is good, but it depends what business you're in. Whatever you want to do, you gotta be out there. If you're not out there, nobody's seeing you, nobody's feeling you, nobody's hearing about your stuff.
That's a good point. You want to actually have them know you.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you're on Instagram, when you're on Facebook, TikTok, X, you want to create content that does that. Right? So meaningful content is so important. I'm on Instagram probably about 2 hours a day, posting, searching, and how often do we just roll through things? Nothing really catches our eye, nothing's meaningful. So if you can find a means to do that, connect with people through your content, that's the best bet. Never rely on one resource or one platform. That means don't always 100% rely on the internet. It's a very powerful tool, but nothing will substitute for shaking hands, meeting with them eye to eye, and them knowing your name and you knowing their name. Nothing will substitute that. So it's a very healthy mix of it. You might find that you're better at one than the other, but that's what your team is for. That's what Progress is for.
So, Garrett, are you able to let people know what business you have? How can they get hold of you? How can they reach you?
Sure. I run a small meal prep company. It's called Whole Cuisine. WHOLECUISNE. Whole Cuisine.
We are here to help everybody. We're here to promote everybody. Whenever you're here, that's what we call it, free your mind. You come out here, you relax, talk about yourself, talk about what you need, anything that you want to help people of, or anything people need. We are here. So, as you know, this is the second one. It's coming. It's not there yet, but we're still going. So thank you so much, Garrett. We really appreciate you. And hopefully we blossom together. We all know sky's the limit. And I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day, leaving your beautiful wife at home and your little one. Mm-hmm. So really appreciate it, Garrett. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.